So you are at another MN Society style talk, and I am with a now dear friend and client, and just all around good dude, my friend James Harris. Man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man.
So thank you for being here today, man. And just I always introduce you and let you kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get to why we are doing this session today. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, thanks again for this opportunity, Mark. I'm really appreciative. As you mentioned, James Harrison. I've been a Knoxvilleian for 6 years now. So
Okay.
relocated
Welcome to Knoxville,
to
brother.
the area
Right on.
from Iowa. Prior to Iowa, I'm born and raised in Michigan, and so loving in Knoxville. I told my wife this is my forever home now.
I like it, man. Yeah,
And so
Knoxville's cool.
my wife and I have been married for it'll be 30 years in June. And so, I'm looking forward to talking about a little bit more about what I'm doing. But I've got 3 children and a grandchild, and so
Right on.
yeah, 54-year-old granddad.
Man, welcome to Knoxville, man. And can you share what you do for a living?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'm currently the HR manager at Arconic in Alcoa, and Arconic was formerly known as Alcoa until 2016. But I'm the HR human resource manager there at the plant.
Love it. Some of my family worked at the Alcor plant, and it's been around for years and years, and so it's had a huge impact on the Knox community. As a matter of fact, my younger brother works there and has worked there for probably 15 years. So, I can relate. So, other than the fact that he's one of the most stylish and coolest brothers I know.
Oh man, you're fine and kind, yeah, but I'll take it.
He brought the Michigan back to Knoxville, and he's always put to do, man. And he supports me, but from tuxedos to even had this custom trench made. The fella loves to look good, and so we're going to talk about that in the workspace. But I also want to talk about. One of the main reasons I brought him here today is James has 2 children, and both of his kids have sickle cell. And so we are actually putting a team together, or he put a team together to run and bring awareness to sickle cell. And so this particular episode will probably be 2 about one in general, about just tell us about sickle cell and man, the impact that it's made on your life, man, because I can only imagine. I've got 2 daughters and how hard it is, man. And just we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago when we were supposed to film the episode, and he had to be at the hospital with his daughter who had to have emergency blood transfusion, man. So tell us, man, about, because I want to bring some awareness about sickle cell and how it's affected your life, brother.
Well, thank you again. With sickle cell, it's a hereditary disease, and it impacts your blood cells. And so, whereas normal blood cells are round, they're flexible, they move well through your arteries and through your body. A patient with sickle cell, their blood cells are actually shaped like a sickle. So if you picture a farm sickle, and they're also hard and they're sticky. And what happens is they don't flow as well, and it impedes blood flow so just imagine anywhere that blood flows to your body, sometimes they can get blockage just because of the shape of the cell and the texture. And so, you think about your limbs and your organs, and so it also causes really severe pain attacks, or what they'll call a sickle cell crisis. And one of the things when that happens, you have to get a blood transfusion, because then it allows you to get fresh blood into your system. And so replaces those sickle cell or sickle shapes.
Wow.
And it's pretty painful. They're making some advances with it recently, but for now, the most common treatment method is a blood transfusion.
So how often is that, annually, or is there any?
It's unpredictable.
I got you.
So for instance, so you mentioned my 2 children have sickle cell. I have a son who's 29, and I have a daughter who's 23, and they both have sickle cell. They were diagnosed since birth. Well, my daughter, she had gone 6 years without being hospitalized.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so here recently, past year, she's been hospitalized 3 times and has had to have blood transfusions all 3 times. So
Wow.
it's just that unpredictable.
So is it a diet? Is there anything that they're saying that would cause or help with not having to depend or an epidemic or whatever
Well,
happen?
right now, just because of the nature of it, the physiology, and with your biology, There's no cure for it. And so the one thing that they have found is that temperatures, so like colder weather, sometimes impacts you. So you can tell with the change of season.
I got you.
There are times when she can tell her body will start to ache, and my son would say the same thing. But other than that, so there's some signs that even though it's unpredictable and it's unique to each individual, there's signs that they start to learn with their own bodies in terms of, there's times that if she catches a common cold, that could deteriorate. If he catches a cold, that could deteriorate into either pneumonia or a sickle cell crisis. So you have to be really careful just about normal things that people would take for granted, like a common cold, could trigger. Wow, it could trigger a sickle cell crisis, which then could have them hospitalized and is really really bad on their bodies.
So I'm just curious, but I'm always thinking about the dollar signs in most things in life, or how this affects just being in business. But from an insurance state, how does man? Because it's got to be expensive, to manage, right?
And well, the one thing about it, we've been blessed with, we've had great health insurance, but as once you're 26, you're no longer on your parents' health insurance. And
Right.
so what happens, the health insurance is important because it covers some of the treatments. There's some things like there's an infusion treatment where they'll go to hematologists and they work with them. But depending on your insurance, it may not cover it. So health insurance is really, really critical in the job that you have if it provides health insurance. So, fortunately for my youngest daughter, she's only 23. She'll be 24 this year, so she's still on our insurance. My son, he's transitioning jobs. He had one job where his insurance covered it. Now he has another insurance where it doesn't. So he's trying to work through that and see, what he can do to get that infusion treatment because that's just another treatment that they use to help them cope with the sickle cell.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the insurance is really a big piece too. So after this phase with the awareness and increasing diverse donors, we got a couple other aspects of it I'm gonna have to tackle.
And so, one more thing well, several things I want to ask you, but life expectancy of someone with sickle cell, is it normal? Is it
Well, you know what? It has improved tremendously. I would say my grandmother, prior to her passing, she was 83, 84 when she passed in 2017. And at the time, she was the oldest living sickle cell patient in the state of Michigan. Oh, wow. And so a lot of, it can impact your life expectancy if you're not getting the proper treatment. Okay. And so, if you're getting the proper treatment, it really helps. Just like any other situation in life, that medical treatment really helps. But you would think about with the restriction of blood to your limbs and to your organs, sometimes it can impact it, and you got to have a really healthier lifestyle just because you are dealing with that situation. You can't afford to have some of the other issues going on. Definitely no smoking.
gotcha?
Definitely that's one of the worst things that a sickle cell patient can do because your body relies on that oxygen in your blood, and that with smoking, that really impacts the oxygen in your blood. So there's just some things you have to make choices that you can't do in order to keep yourself healthy.
So, and I don't know if we mentioned this before. Sickle cell only impacts African Americans. Am I correct in that?
Well, actually, it impacts all cultures. It predominantly impacts African Americans, Hispanics.
Okay.
Actually, some. So when you think about in some other parts of the world, some Asians are impacted by
Sickle cell. I did not know that.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, it's a disease that impacts different races, but primarily African Americans and Hispanics. But there are different cultures that are impacted by it. When you look at it around the globe, we normally here in America, we think about the African Americans, and now it's really been highlighted more. Even Hispanic individuals are impacted as well.
Right on. Okay. Well, wow. Okay, man. So now let's talk about this running and this race thing. So I have signed up to run a half marathon to help him raise awareness to sickle cell, and then tell us about you and your team and why you put this together, my friend.
Okay, well, it's called the One Day Can Initiative, and really the initiative is to increase diverse donors, to increase sickle cell awareness. There's a third phase, like I said, there are other prongs. There's a third phase that I really haven't started to unpack yet, but really to increase the awareness of the need for additional research funding. That's one thing that. So right now I'm just focusing on the two, increasing diverse donors and increasing sickle cell awareness.
Right.
So pretty excited about that.
Right on, and that's exactly why we're here. We're doing that, and I can't wait to run. How are you doing with your brother?
The training is coming. I will finish. I'm not gonna say how long it will take, but I will finish. The one thing, as I started this, and the way the birth or the genesis of the One Dad Can initiative was last, and I'll share this story, last Memorial Day weekend. So that weekend of Memorial Day, my daughter was in the hospital here in Knoxville. My son was in the hospital in Nashville at the same time, and they both had to have blood transfusions.
Wow.
And so, as a father, we do anything for our children.
Amen.
And so, whenever they're dealing with sickle cell, that's the one time where I just feel helpless as a dad.
Can't do it. Yeah.
And so sitting there,
right on.
mind racing, talking about everything with any and everything with my wife, trying to just keep her mind off of what was going on. I told her, I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to run the Covenant Health Marathon next year to bring awareness to sickle cell. So you can imagine. So she looks like what? She's been with me a long time. Like we'll be married 30 years. So she kind of gave me that look, and I understood the look. So I said, well, maybe not the full marathon, which is 26.2 miles, but I'm gonna run the half marathon. And so once I told her that, she was like, okay. I pitched it to my kids, and then they were like, "Oh, Dad, that's awesome!" So from there, I had to be all in.
Right on.
At that
You
point.
be committed now because
Yeah.
you can't let them down. Once you put it out there,
Exactly.
you would never be able to live that down. So that's exciting. And we were talking earlier. You've got about 10 guys that's going to be on your team, including myself. And so, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to stay with you? Do you want us to run the race? Do you want us to?
I don't know yet. I thought about that because my entire team.
I want to be there for you, bro, because this is why I'm doing it, my man. So you tell me what you want.
Yeah, I'm still thinking through that. And it's interesting because the one of the things that I got connected with. So donating blood is a passion. Even before I moved to Knoxville, I've always been a blood donor.
Okay.
And so when I moved to Knoxville, I worked with our communications manager at the plant. Her name's Christy Newman. So I was talking to Christy and said, hey, I want to figure out a way to get active in the community with an organization, a blood center, or a blood bank. And so then she said, "Okay, she said, I think I got somebody for you to meet." So then she connected me with Christy Altman. And so Christy and I talked, and I was explaining to her my story and what I wanted to do. And so she said, "That's great." And so if you know Christy, she really dives in and she gets it done. So then she said, "Hey, we're looking to grow our advisory committee with Medic."
Okay.
Medic Regional Blood Center. And so she said, hey, you think you might be interested? So she gave me some information. I said, yeah, I definitely would. So so then we got connected with I got connected with the advisory board. And then after spend some time on the advisory board, we were going around talking to different organizations just about sickle cell. So we had already been, before the One Dad Can, we were getting out and active in the Knoxville community just to try to increase diverse donors.
Right on.
And then the opportunity came to join the board of directors of Medic. So then
I did not know that. I didn't know you were on the board of directors of Medic. Right on.
So I got met with the board and had some discussion with them, and then they decided I was selected to be on the board. So now I actually moved from actually just being a board member to now on the executive committee as treasurer of the board of Medic. So I kind of I shared that story because Christy Altman. So after I talked to my wife, after I talked to my kids, so this was on a weekend. I think that Memorial Day was that Monday. I called Christy at Tuesday morning while I texted her and said, "Hey, let me talk to you." I called her Tuesday and just said, "Hey, here's an idea that I have." And she said, let's do it." So from there, man, it's just been growing. One of the main goals was I threw a very aggressive goal out there. I said I want to get 10,000 donors because when you donate blood, for that pint that you donate, it helps 3 patients. And so by getting 10,000 donors, it's actually going to give 30,000 patients, whether it's sickle cell or anyone that just needs blood products, period, will be helped and aided by those 10,000. That's awesome. So that's how we got here. And so now I'm putting my body through something because the children go through something. When you see them, you can just 180 degrees. Both of them are pretty energetic, pretty bubbly. but it just zaps the life out. So I'm like, if their bodies go through that, I can at least put my body through something to bring awareness and get more dumb blood.
So one dad can, right?
Yeah.
All right. So remember that, and then so we're going to create some following, and also we're going to help you try attempt to. I'm going to do my best to get people to go and donate blood, including myself. And then we haven't really talked a lot about style, so let's change the subject a little.
Okay.
And so you're in HR, right?
Yes.
All right. So number one issue with dress code or whatever at work that you could give somebody advice on for showing up to work.
Well, that's interesting because it kind of depends on the environment. So, like our plant, we have some, there's some areas where you have to, and we're an industrial, we're manufacturing. You may have uniforms that you wear in terms of because of the environment that you're in, but that's a plant environment. But one thing that I always tell people when they're interviewing, right, is I've saw over the years the expectation of how you show up to interviews has changed. And so, in terms of just, as I was growing up, and I've shared my age, which I'm proud of, being 54, growing up in being a 70s
I'm on my
baby.
way. I June, baby.
Yeah,
There you go. I'm in June. I'm the 54.
you were told you show up to an interview, and your shoes are shined,
Right on.
your clothes are pressed,
I like it.
and your shirt's pressed and clean, and it's such a relaxed environment because it's casual. So I'm at work now, right? And you say, hey, well, you're casual, but there's still a way, you present yourself. So,
Amen.
Working in manufacturing, it's not an office environment. So it's not as, important because you'll have jeans because you may be out on the plant floor. Right? But I think just overall, from a style perspective, I always like to look back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, just looked at how men and women dressed. There was a pride in their appearance. And so I think that is a big thing, right? I think that
100%. My great grandfather, who the Nelson comes from, he was a janitor at TVA, but he wore a suit to work. Dress slacks, shoe shine, you know what I mean? Tie, shirt. And so I didn't know he was a janitor. You know what I mean? And I didn't know until actually he was dead and we talked about what he did. I thought he had an office job, but he was a janitor. You know what I mean? And so what you said is it's the style and things have changed. And I didn't realize that you were 70s baby. But yeah, I remember back in the day that our grandparents and great grandparents were always put together. You know what I mean? And so things have definitely changed to the sneaker and more relaxed age. But I would show that, my friend. Right up.
And so, from a style perspective, that's the one thing why I always like coming down to the store, is that it allows me to kind of. I was actually for the interview, I was actually on the phone with one of my uncles who actually raised me, and so I got a lot of my style from my uncles, from the men, from my grandfather, from my dad, from the men in my life, and their appearance. So it's just been awesome to be able to come in here and kind of put things together. And then as a little kid, I always would shop in the Husky section. That's when Sears. See, that's really my age. Sears, Roebuck, and those doors, but they had a size. The size was Husky. So having shopped in the Husky section, it just feels good to be able to come in and you see something that you like. You see a blazer,
custom clothes,
or you see something, and then it's made to fit you. And then when people who can recognize and appreciate good quality blazer or good quality suit, and they say, "Hey man, now where'd you get that tailored at?" Right now, so people, and so then you really feel good. It's just it allows me to come in. I'm like a kid in a candy store. When you come in the shop, you got everything from the leisure, the jeans. I can go from casual out on a date night. I can go get something for church. I get something for a formal event, and I can do everything from the shoes all the way to the tie. And then to be able to create your own shoes. So I think everybody that's come to my house, they've had an opportunity to see the McNanies that I designed. I whip out my shoes and my belt and say, "Hey,
I love it, man.
this is what I had a chance to design." And I was just telling my uncle, I can't wait to get them both to Knoxville so I can bring them down, to the shop and my guys that came down for Bourbon and Blazers, but they still talk about that. And I had the guys prior to coming, we were talking about the jeans because I was putting on my jeans and I was saying, man, I got my jeans from my guy. We were talking about that. And they were like, oh, I'm still jeans. I mean, it's different. We go and we I used to buy jeans off the rack, right? So it's a totally different fit and feel when these are my jeans, and
Right on.
so I had guys now who are like, "Hey man, I gotta get my jeans." So now they're saying they gotta get their jeans. So
I
it was
like it.
just the
About a
event,
few
man.
brothers up from Chattanooga too, and we
Yeah,
made tuxedos and so yeah, man. I appreciate your support, man, and bringing you guys down here. And the last thing I want to touch on is now, are you in a fraternity, brother? Or is that that's it?
absolutely. As you can see the pride on his face. Absolutely, I'm a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity
For
Incorporated.
those you don't know, those are the smooth brothers. Those are the brothers that
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so,
they like to dress, man.
yeah, and that's the other thing. I've come down here, as you know, I've come down here and I've heard voices in the dressing room. Hey, who's that? And then it's one of my brothers in the dressing room. And then the other thing, so I'm glad you brought up Kappa Alpha Psi. But the one thing, as we talk about, one of the big things that we do is we train and for leadership and development. And so we have a youth group with young men, 7th through 12th grade here in the community. We have a group of about 15. They're called the Kappa Leadership Instructional League, but we call it the Kappa League for short. And so you may not even remember, after one, they meet on the second Saturday in each month. So after one Saturday, I was coming down and I had one of the young guys. Once we interviewed them, we asked them what do they want to do. And I had a young guy that wants to be a fashion designer. And so that was the young
You
guy
brought the kid
that
back here.
came
Yeah, you
down.
got dad was with
His
you.
dad
You
with
got
him,
it for
who's
sure.
another
Yeah.
member of Kappa Alpha Psi. But he got an opportunity to spend some time and talk to you. And man, that was something. He shared that with the other guys because it was good to be able to see that in action, right? So it's different when someone's telling you, "Hey, here's why we're doing this, and here's why it's important." Or when we're teaching them how to shake hands and look someone in the eye or hold a conversation, he actually got to put that in action, right? So he got those things that we just talk about in the room with us and the other guys
and do it in real life.
to get in real life.
Yeah.
And here's a business owner. Here's somebody who's doing in real life what I want to do. And he was able to, and I told him I was more proud. He was able to hold a conversation. He was able to maintain eye contact, to be able to speak intelligently about what he wanted to do. So man, it's just interesting, even as we're sitting here talking, just all the different aspects, man, and how this thing is just evolved, bro. It's awesome, man.
Well, man, I see you are a giver, man, and from bringing awareness to sickle cell to giving back to the youth, man, and so I appreciate that, man. I appreciate your friendship, and I'm so thankful that you were able to come and do the podcast with me today. And again, I'm excited to run this half marathon with you, my friend, and just thank you, man. You've been a blessing, brother, and
Thank you.
and I can't wait to continue and grow our relationship, my friend.
Outstanding, man. I
All right.
appreciate it so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on another MN Style Guide. Have a great day.